Although he really needs no introduction, I'd like to point out a couple of facts from his resume that, in my view, make him the face and voice of America's future.
Yes!
Mayor Pete is a scholar, having graduated from Harvard and Oxford University, the latter as a Rhodes Scholar. Mayor Pete understands business, having served as a management consultant. Mayor Pete is a veteran, having served in the United States Navy Reserve for 8 years, during which he deployed to Afghanistan.
Woo!
Mayor Pete obviously understands politics, having worked on multiple campaigns and run himself as candidate for President of the United States. Mayor Pete is a leader, having served as mayor of South Bend, Indiana for 8 years. And last but not least, Mayor Pete is one of the most articulate and inspirational speakers of our time.
Yes! Yes,
It is therefore my great honor to have served as his warm-up act and to introduce Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Yay, Mayor Pete! Woo! All right! Woo! Mayor Pete! 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 Mayor Pete!
Good morning.
Woo!
I'm so excited to be here. I am humbled to be introduced by you, General, and Brian and Patricia, and the extraordinary people gathered today in the shared knowledge that we have a chance to make history and deliver a better future for this country.
Woo!
Before I share a little bit more about why I'm all in for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I want to say a word about why I'm so excited for the first time ever to lay eyes on the Space Coast.
Yeah!
I was a little boy growing up in South Bend, Indiana. There was a building in downtown South Bend, our only building that could really lay claim on the word skyscraper. At the time, it was labeled the Valley American Bank. It was a regional bank in northern Indiana. And in my little imagination, as a 5-year-old, obsessed with the space program, a large building that had the letters VAB on it could only mean one thing, and that was the Vehicle Assembly Building here in Brevard County. And if I jumped up and down on my bed, I could just see the red VAB letters on the top of the building, and I would do that fantasizing that across the St. Joe River in Indiana, I was actually looking at the heart of the U.S. space program that made me, from that very early age, a believer in science, a believer in the United States of America, and a believer in what we can do when we come together as a country.
Yes! Woo!
My certainty that I would one day become an astronaut was defeated partly by some things I learned about my eyesight that meant it was better to stay indoors as much as possible rather than compete for flight programs, although I gather now you can get a little further even if you don't have 20/20 vision. But obviously my path took me to a different place, but I'm so delighted that it took me back here because I see so many Americans here in this vitally important part of the U.S., which I hope you know is one of the counties that is at the very center of the political universe right now.
Yes!
Because you hold the future in your hands. And I'm here just to say a little bit about what this election means to me, as it means something to all of us in the most personal terms, because politics, all politics, isn't just local, it's personal. And I think we've been reminded of that. As we see what we're up against as a country, the compounding of different crises that have brought us to this point. We have, obviously, a public health crisis, a pandemic the likes of which the world hadn't seen for 100 years, that will not get better so long as the President of the United States denies that it even exists because he thinks it hurts him politically. We deserve better.
Yes! Yes!
We have an economic crisis that will not get better so long as we have a president who thinks everything is, in his words, going along just fine. As long as the wealthy are doing well. We know that a good economy is one where everybody can get by, everybody can move ahead,
Yes!
and that's not happening until we get new and better leadership.
Yes! Woo!
We have a moral crisis as this country confronts the patterns of systemic racism that have been with us since day one, and it will not get better when the President of the United States instructs a white supremacist group to stand by, and cannot bring himself to utter the simple truth that Black lives matter.
Yes! Yes, yes, yes.
We have a global crisis as countries around the world size up whether they can ever trust the United States again.
Right? Oh my gosh.
A survey of world leaders found for the first time they trust the head of the Chinese Communist Party more than they do the President of the United States. That is a threat to national security, and we must end that now.
Yes! Yes!
We know what we're up against, and nobody knows that better than the community of veterans and military families who have seen the way this president talks about those who serve.
Yes.
Of generals, he says he knows better than them. I don't think he knows better than General Leopard about much of anything.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to repeat some of the things he said about our military leaders, but it's not just those high-ranking military officers whose job is to give him advice to help protect our country safe. It's the way he talks about those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Yes. Those who serve in the military are not suckers and losers. They are patriots who deserve the full-throated support of the President of the United States.
Woo!
We know that this is our only opportunity to do something about these issues. It's our only opportunity to act on climate change that threatens Indiana just as much as it threatens Florida, threatens the entire world, and will not get better when the President of the United States denies that it's even real. So, look, we know what we're up against, right? But I'm not just here to talk about what we're up against. I'm here because of what we're for.
Yes!
I'm not just against Donald Trump. I am for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to lead this country forward.
Yes!
I got to know these leaders when I was running against them, and it says something when you come to admire and respect somebody more while you were competing.
Yes.
But these are the kinds of people who we are supporting right now. And by the way, not just Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but leaders up and down the ticket, because shame on us if we ever treat the presidency like it's the only office that matters. We've got to get great elected officials at every level.
Yes!
I'm working the polls and I gotta go, but I love you.
Thank you. Thank you for working the polls, too. Thank you. Keep up the great work. We need those poll workers. We're counting on them. That is public service.
Yes!
I'm for Joe Biden because he, when it was not exactly fashionable in all corners of the Democratic Party, came out and said that love is love and people like me ought to be able to get married just like anybody else.
Yes!
I'm for Joe Biden because he doesn't have to pretend he knows what it's like for military families. The Bidens are a military family. Nobody
Yes!
gets to war, and that's the kind of person I want in the White House. I'm for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because they tell the truth. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to have a president of the United States who recognizes that health care is a right and is working to expand it, not to take it away? Wouldn't it be nice to have a president of the United States who thinks matters of science and medicine are things we ought to probably check with scientists and doctors about before going
Yes!
to scientists on television? And I'm excited for the team he's going to put around him. Wouldn't it be nice to have a Secretary of Education who believes in public education? And supports our
Yes! Right? What a concept.
people? Wouldn't it be nice when there is a vacancy on the Supreme Court not to have to worry if our marriages are in danger, if health care decisions are being threatened, if voting rights are up for debate? Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody who actually matches the values of the American people when they're making those kinds of decisions? That's what we have a chance to be for right now. And it all comes down to whether folks actually vote. Now, we got two kinds of voters I'm worried about that I need your help reaching. First, and we all have them in our families and our circles of friends, lifelong Republicans or people who rarely vote Democrat, but this time they're ready to make a change because they know that this president's conduct is as offensive to conservative values as it is to progressive values.
Yes.
And they're ready to put party aside and vote with us this time around. We're going to let them know it's okay to change your mind, and you are welcome in this Big Tent coalition we're building for Joe Biden. Then we got our other friends. Now, they would never think of voting for Donald Trump at all. They're not deciding how to vote, they're deciding whether to vote. And we've got
Yeah.
to make sure they get the message.
Yes.
Your vote is your voice. Que su voto es su voz. Y su momento de máximo poder es este momento, esta elección. That whatever we've been arguing about or worrying about or tweeting about or protesting about, this is what it looks like to do something about it, because this is the one moment that the system actually is required to listen to what we have to say. That's why it matters to exercise that critically important
Yes.
right. Get out
Yeah.
and vote.